we're looking at the beautiful green outdoors right now, but you're probably looking like a bit of a mess in your backyard right now.
Yeah.
Frankie, you're here to help us so that come spring, you have that lawn that everybody envies and that garden that everybody envies.
Yeah, so, you know, fall is a great time that you should be gardening out there. You just asked me, do I need to get rid of the weeds? Yeah,
again.
You want to continue to weed during the fall months. You also want to make sure that you're weeding your lawn. The reason, if you're not removing them now, they're going to be bigger and badder next year, and some of the annual weeds will spread those seeds down. You'll have more weeds. So fall is, first off, a time to clean up. So you want to get rid of any of those dead flowers. You want to get rid of the weeds. And then it's also a time where I get a lot of people asking about pruning. So the number one thing people always ask me about.
Pull out versus prune it and cut it.
So hydrangeas. There's two different types, and this is my number one question at this time of the year. When do I prune hydrangeas?
Wow.
So this one here is what's called a macrophylla. So the blues, the pink hydrangeas, they're macrophyllas. This over here, which is called a little lime, but anything like that's a white flowering hydrangea, which is PGs, Annabellas, two different types. So macrophyllas over here, they bloom on old wood. Okay, these guys, this is where it gets confusing. This guy here blooms on new wood. So because of that, the white flowering hydrangeas at this time of the year, I can just hack right away. I don't need to care where I'm pruning.
So cut them back.
I'm gonna cut them right back down almost to the ground and just remove all those blooms. The reason why I'm removing those blooms, you can see just how I'm hacking away at it. You can be. The reason why I'm removing those blooms is the blooms themselves can be snow catchers.
What do you do with these ones that already look, they're
You're going to remove all that dead wood, right? So you can see all of a sudden I just took this shrub and goodbye, right?
Okay.
But look, it's nice and clean, it's tight, it can take the snow load, there's no worry about freezing rain. Now, this one here, which are the blues and the pink, which are the macrophylla, I want you to take a look over here. And you can see right there, Dina, you can see right there. You see that right there?
Yeah.
That little right
that?
there? That's next year's flowers.
Already.
So, if we were to cut this right down to the ground,
it wouldn't bloom.
We'd have no blooms. So they'd be the wrong moves. But what we want to do right now is these spent flowers, the ones that are dying back, we just want to cut right above. We want to remove those. We want to clean it up.
Strong enough to last through the winter?
Oh yeah, so we're going to, any of those longer branches that may break due to the winter, we're going to go back and we're just going to give it a nice little haircut.
So you're looking again for the little blooms on the stem.
Yeah, and we're just going to remove, because the flowers themselves, the reason why you're removing these, even though they'll look good as they die back in the winter, is if they catch snow, heavy white snow, it'll go over and it'll break.
Snap.
Okay, now perennials, which are right beside you there. So we have delphiniums here, we have Shasta daisies. Really, you want to wait for a few frosts, and you can cut these right down to the ground, but generally what I like to do is I like to cut them back and leave them to about 6 to almost 8 inches above the ground. The reason why I want to do that is as the snow is going to blow across, it's going to hit here and drift around this. Snow is an insulator, so by putting snow around this, it's going to help that plant.
It protects it.
It's going to protect it.
Versus if it's too low, it's just going to go right on top and weigh it down.
Still a great time for planting. Everything right now at garden centers is about 50% off.
But the squirrels are so active, they're trying to find their nuts.
Let's talk about squirrels too.
And their bulbs.
If it comes to bulbs and you have a problem with squirrels, you know, stay away from tulips because they love tulips. But daffodils are poisonous to squirrels. So daffodils are the ones, if you have a squirrel problem, to plant, as well as with daffodils.
Oh, but I don't want to hurt the squirrel.
They're not going to touch them. They're smart.
They just don't go near them.
And for those that live and are watching us up in the north, they're deer resistant too, are the daffodils. So deer really nibble away during the winter months.
So daffodils.
But the benefit of daffodils as well is they're perennialized, meaning that they're going to come back each and every year.
I see people with tulips though in the spring. How did they manage? They just got lucky.
Well, the best thing that you can do with tulips is some people will put chicken wire right on the top. So they'll plant the tulips on top of the soil, they'll put chicken wire, so when the squirrels go to dig, they get caught and they can't get into the chicken wire.
Too much work.
Then what happens though is the tulips can grow through the chicken wire really quite easily. So that's the thing that you can do for squirrels. The other thing with squirrels, if you have a real bad squirrel problem, is you can feed them. There's some fantastic squirrel feeders that you put on the far end of your property. The squirrels go and eat that and they leave everything else alone.
Because they're getting their meal elsewhere.
But squirrels are employed by garden centers. We send them out to eat all your plants so that you have to buy more.
And rabbits.
And rabbits
what do we
and deer.
do about the raccoons? That's a whole
the raccoons in Toronto, they have attitudes and iPhones, and they
are gangster.
They are
Thank you so much, Frank Ferragini from Kev. Over to you now. We know. Time to get pruning. Speaking of stretches, I couldn't walk for 2 days the last time I pulled out weeds. 2 days.